morning, Yesenia.
How are you, David?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I am very good also, thank you.
Excellent. Well, today we have scheduled a grammar session. It's an advanced topic, so let me just share my screen.
I'm going to find a pen.
Excellent.
I'm back.
All right. So today's topic is called used to plus infinitive and be or get used to plus ing. All right. So let's start this.
Used
This is just a
to.
disclaimer. The information that I got here is factual. It was taken from the British Council. So all the exercises that we're gonna do have been proved to be correct. All right. So the first question that I have for you is, do you know the difference between I used to drive on the left and I'm used to driving on the left? Think about that for a moment and see how those two are different.
I think the first I used to drive on the left refers to past time,
Mm-hmm.
and I am used to driving on the left is a present tense.
Excellent. So right there is the answer. It's related to tenses. The first one it is actually from the past, and the second is a continuation in the present. We're gonna see that with more detail right now. So let's analyze these sentences. Let's go with the first one. Give me just a second. Pen blank. Okay, this is the first one. I used to want to be a lawyer, but then I realized how hard they work. Do you think this is a past activity or is a continuation in time? This first one.
It seems to be a past tense.
Okay, well, I used to be a lawyer, but then I realized how hard they work. Yes, well, this is one is past because, and how do we know that? Because here we had a person saying he wanted to become a lawyer, but then he changed his mind. So he changed it. That's a very good clue that we use in the past time. So notice how the structure of the I used to is I used to plus infinitive. Do you know what is an infinitive?
The verb when it's not on past.
Exactly. That's an infinitive when it's in the normal form, let's say. Okay, now let's analyze this second sentence. How's Boston? Are you used to the cold weather yet? Well, do you think that's a past or present or future
It is
sentence?
present.
Okay, how's Boston? Are you used to the cold weather yet? Yeah, this is the clue right here, yet, because it's happening at that moment, at that time.
And also the are, because the are is for the present, right?
Exactly. This is the to be form, to be. And let's analyze the structure. Used to. This is in the form of a question, so that's why we have the auxiliary verb at the beginning of the sentence. So are plus used to, and then we have the end of the sentence, the cold weather. The cold weather. All right, now let's go with the third one. No matter how many times I fly, I'll never get used to takeoff and landing. So what do you think about this one? Is past, present, or future?
That it's a future tense.
All right, let's write it right here. And let's analyze it. This one is not actually future, but it's very close to the future. I'm gonna explain you about that right now. So no matter how many times I fly, here we're talking about a repetition. I'll never get used to takeoff and landing. So that means it's continuing over time.
Mm.
And depending on how many flights I take, and that I still will take, I'll never get used to takeoff and landing. So that is a continuation. And for the sake of simplicity, we can call this a future. But if we want to be real accurate, this is a continuation.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's analyze where it's the used to. So here we have the used to. And let's see what verb is conjugating. So no matter how many times I fly, I'll never get used to. Okay, so we have I'll never. That was in simple future. So used to plus simple future. Okay. Now we can also talk about this topic in this form. Used to versus be used to and get used to. So today's topic is about those three differences. This one, be used to, right here, is talking about the to be verb. And get used to, it's usually talking about the ing form of the verb. Okay, so these three have in common that they're talking about experiences. You got that very right when you said, oh, the difference is because one was in the future and this one is in the present. So that in the past was an experience, that in the present still an experience, and we also have get used to, that is in the present, but is continuing over time to become another experience, continuing.
Okay.
All right, so let's go one by one. Used to. We use used to plus infinitive to talk about a past situation that is no longer true. It tells us that there was a repeated action or state in the past which has now changed. Let's look at some examples for that. So, the first one. She used to be a long distance runner when she was younger. You see how it finished? She's no longer a long distance runner. It was only in the past. Okay, now let's
Because
go.
of the was, right?
I'm sorry?
Because of the was verb.
Oh, yes, but actually it's because when she was younger, this is actually a much better clue because this sentence is inferring that she is older now. So yeah, the was is a very good clue, but also the younger is a very good clue, because now, well, she might be older. Okay, now let's go with the second one. I didn't used to sleep very well, but then I started doing yoga, and it really helps. Remember, we're still talking about the used to form. These are just the examples. So this one is also a past activity. That's how we use it, because I used to sleep. You see, sleep is in the infinitive form.
Mhm.
Okay, now let's go with the third one. Did you used to come here as a child? Again, here we have the word child, which means that maybe the speaker is talking to an adult about his past. So that's how we use the used to. Used to plus infinitive. Is that clear for you?
Yes.
Great. Now let's continue with the be used to. Be used to means to be familiar with or be accustomed to. Let's see a couple of examples about that. Examples. She's used to the city now and doesn't get lost anymore. Okay, this is the first one. Now the second one. He wasn't used to walking so much and his leg hurts after the hike. I'm a teacher, so I'm used to speaking in public. So what do these three sentences have in common? The ing form.
ing, yes.
So again, be used to, it's often used with the ing form. Okay, here one is walking. Oh, she's used to the city. Here we don't have the ing form because used to in this case, it's talking about the situation. So it's not a verb, it's a situation. And you see this one kind of stays over time. So maybe she's new. Let's look at this one. Maybe she's new to the city. She's been already for, let's say, 1 week. So she got used to the city and now she doesn't get lost anymore. That's how we use that one. Is that clear for you?
The second one is it gave me some trouble because it talks in a past when he's talking about the wasn't.
Oh,
And his legs hurt. And hurt is a irregular verb, right?
Which one?
Hurt.
Yes, this one.
Hurt.
But forget about the how the verbs are composed. We're just interested in the used to and the ing. This is how you can tell that this is a continuation over time. Used to and walking. So let's let me clear this. Let's read it again. So this one, the second one. He wasn't used to walking so much and his legs hurt after the hike. So let's imagine you and I went to a hike. You weren't used to hiking, so now your legs are hurting. So I say, right in that moment, while we were hiking, oh, you aren't used to walking so much, so that's why your legs hurt.
Okay.
Let's split this one. So we have sentence number 1, sentence number 2. He wasn't used to walking. Okay, so he wasn't in the past, and still in the future, he's not used to walking. Clear? Number 1 is clear?
Yes.
Okay. So much, and his legs hurt after the hike. So even you see hurt here, that's talking about the present because your legs are hurting now. They didn't hurt in the past. They're hurting right now in the present.
Okay.
All right. Don't worry if you didn't get that. We're gonna do also some exercises, and it's gonna be more clear after we do those exercises. This third one again, let's see it again. I'm a teacher, so I'm used to speaking in public. Okay, let's play this. Number 1 and number 2. I'm a teacher, so I was a teacher in the past, I am a teacher in the present, and I probably will continue to be a teacher in the future. Okay, this one is talking about a continuation again. So I'm used to speaking in public. This one is also talking about continuation, because I'm given a reason that I'm very good at speaking in public just because I'm a teacher. Let's look at the form. So used to and the ing form. This one is actually the more complicated here, because used to, and we don't have a verb, but we can say used to is for experience. Alright, now let's look at get used to. So get used to, we use it to talk about the process of becoming familiar with something. Let's look at some examples. I'm finding this new job hard, but I'm sure I'll get used to it soon. So how can I say this with the word familiar? I can say, I'm finding this new job hard, but I'm sure I'll get familiar with it soon. It's the same meaning, but here I'm using I'll get used to it soon. So far we use used to, now we're using get used to. Alright?
Yes.
Let's look at the second one. It took my mother years to get used to living in London after moving from Pakistan. So here I can also say, it took my mother years to get familiar living in London after moving from Pakistan. It's just the same meaning. Let me write it for you. To be familiar.
Okay. Get used is to be familiar.
I'm getting used to the noise now. I found it really stressful when I first moved in. I can also say, I'm getting familiar with the noise now. I found it really stressful when I first moved in. Alright, now let's practice.
Could you please show me the previous slide and the other one? Yeah, just one moment. I am taking captures.
Oh, okay.
So I can study that later.
Excellent. I also have... Yeah?
No, the next.
The previous one?
Please. And you also what, please?
I also have a test for you, so we can test your knowledge and practice. It's gonna be a very good practice. You mean you wanted to see this one or the previous one?
I got the previous one was the get used to, the examples, and this is the next, right?
This one is the examples of be used to.
No, I got the examples of get used to.
Get used to.
All of the previous, I already have them.
Okay, so shall we continue with the practice?
Yes, please.
Great. So let's look at this exercise. She, in a bank, but she left and got a job as a gardener. So which one can we use? Used to work, used to working, or got used to work?
Used to work.
Okay, used to work. Yes, that is the answer. Can you please tell me why?
Uh, because the sentence is telling us that she is not still there on the previous job,
Mhm.
and she is now doing a different activity.
Excellent. That's correct. So we can split here this sentence into she used to work in a bank. Let's split it right here. Number one. This was in the past. It's no longer true because right now she's working as a gardener. So that's how you know about that. Used to working wouldn't work because
It's not a continuation.
it's not a continuation, and also we have this first sentence that's telling us about an activity that just finished. So that couldn't work. Got used to work. Remember, this one is familiar.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't make so much sense because it doesn't correlate the first sentence with the next one. Alright, now I have another list of exercises here. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Great.
Used to plus infinitive and be or get used to plus ing practice.
Okay, so this is the practice with 10 exercises. So let's call this number 1. Since we had the baby, I much sleep. So which one do you think it is?
I think it's the number 2. I've got used not to getting much sleep.
Okay. So number 2 you said, this is number 1, and number 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, this doesn't stay there. Okay, let's forget about the numbers. So you said this, I've got to use not to getting much sleep. Why is that? Remember, this one is familiar.
Yes, because it's like inferring on the sentence. Having a baby is not like a easy activity that we are going to have better sleep than before. So get el used to get much sleep is not real.
Alright.
And for that is going to be continuous for at least 1 year. So the person needs to get familiar with the situation that is not going to get a good sleeping.
Okay. You actually had the answer. You talk about continuation. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you were talking about continuation, but actually the answer is the first one. I'm not used to get much sleep because it's talking about the continuation that you were telling me. If we have said that it was the second answer, I got used to not getting, it will be getting familiar. So it doesn't make sense to be familiar to get to sleep. It makes much more sense if we say to get practice on not getting to sleep because of the baby. Yeah.
I'm not used to get much sleep.
Let me write it here. So I'm not used to get much sleep. Again, why is that? Because we're talking about the continuation. We cannot talk about this one because this one will mean that we will get familiar with sleeping, and that wouldn't make so much sense. Let's continue with the second exercise. How's the new job? It yet. Which one do you think it is?
I think it is. How's the new job? Are you used to it yet?
Yes? Okay, so let's mark it. This doesn't want to work, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry.
Okay, how's the new job? Are you used to it yet? Yes, that is the answer. Because, well, he got the new job. It's no longer a new job. It's already his job. So it's talking about a past activity. That one was good. Alright. Before I retired, I had much time to read. Which one do you think it is?
Before I retire, I never used to have much time to read.
Excellent. That was actually kind of hard because before I retired, we don't actually know if it's a past activity because someone will retire and will still be retired. So that was confusing, but you got it right. Now, the engine noise was deafening, but the driver. Which one do you think it is?
What is deafening means? Too much noise?
Deafening, ensordecedor.
The engine noise was deafening, but the driver was used to it.
Was used to it. Yes. So here we have the used to plus the verb to be, and that's talking about a continuation. So he continued listening to so much noise that his ears got so strong that he's like immune to the noise. All right, that's how we use the used to plus the verb to be. Our house is on a steep hill, but the walk after a month of living here.
Our house is on a steep hill, but I got used to walk after a month of living here.
Yes, and we can
Or
also
get
say no, got used to, because we're talking about like being familiar. So I prepare so much walking that now I feel good walking on this steep hill. Got used to walking. It's like saying I prepare so much that now I feel good for walking on this hill. It wouldn't be get used to because I started the sentence in the present tense. So the next one should be in the past tense. But I got used to the walk after a month living here. Alright, let's continue with this one. Don't worry, you in the city center after a while.
Don't worry, you'll get used to living.
You'll get used to living. Don't worry, you'll get used to living in the center after a while. Excellent. So why? Why is that one?
Because living on the center is going to be an activity that is going to continue
Over time.
in the future. So that is why we use the verb with the ing.
You got it. So you see that you're getting these differences as we do more and more exercises?
Yeah.
Alright, so this is the last one exercise. When we were at the university, we had to write an essay a week. This one is talking about the repetition.
So maybe we were used to, or we got used to. because you said about that repetition, and repetition is familiar, from getting familiar.
Okay, so which one do you say it is?
When we were at the university, we I would say we were used to have to write an essay a week.
All right. So actually here is we got used to
Mm.
because you were writing so many exercises in university that maybe you got very good at writing essays. So he's talking about, oh well, when I was in the university, I was familiar with with the essays because I did one essay every week. So that's why we got used to um, have. I'm sorry. When we were at the university, we got used to have to write an essay every week, a week. Oh no, I'm talking about used to. So this one is the second one. Used to.
When we were at the university, we used to have to write an essay. Yes.
Yes, that one. And you said we were used to,
Yes.
and that one is not right because that will be verb to be plus used to, and that would mean a continuation. But he's talking when we were at the university. Maybe he's 40 years old now, and he was at the university when he was much younger. Okay, so let's review it once again. I know this is kind of a confusing topic, but don't worry about it. You're getting there. So let's say used to. So we use used to plus infinitive to talk about a past situation that is no longer true. It tells us that there was a repeated action or state in the past which has now changed. Examples. She used to be a long distance runner when she was younger. I didn't used to sleep very well, but I started doing yoga and it really helps. Do you used to come here as a child? So all of this are talking about a previous experience that is no longer true in the present. Now, be used to. Be used to means to be familiar or be accustomed to. For example, she's used to the city now and doesn't get lost anymore. He wasn't used to walking so much and his legs hurt after the hike. I'm a teacher, so I'm used to speaking in public. Okay, and get used to. Get used to, we use get used to talk about the process of becoming familiar with something. So to be familiar. I'm finding this new job hard, but I'm sure I'll get used to it soon. It took my mother years to get used to living in London after moving from Pakistan. And the final one, I'm getting used to the noise now. I found it really stressful when I first moved in. That was just a quick review. I have also a tip for you. So let's look at these 3 sentences. I used to drive a motorcycle. I am used to driving a motorcycle. And the street is bad, but I'm sure I'll get used to driving my motorcycle. The tip right here is that I'm used to drive a motorcycle. When you see this type of combination of words, it's a past. When you see the ing, it means that it's a continuation. Let's call that present. The street is bad, but I'm sure I'll get used to driving my motorcycle. So I'm expecting to be good while I drive my motorcycle. I'm gonna call that future. Just as a reminder of of these three sentences. You know, it's not actually present; it's continuation, and the
Mm-hmm.
future is also not actually future, but the practice that I will have to get good at driving my motorcycle. But just for the sake of simplicity, we're gonna call the first one past, the second present, and the third one future. All right.
Okay.
Now I want you to test your knowledge. I got this link. I'm gonna pass it to you over Skype. Give me just 1 second. So open it, do the test, and tell me how well you did.
I don't see the text box. Okay. Oh, at least. Right.
Okay.
Okay. So open the link, do the test,
And tell me how well you did. So check your answers and tell me your score.
intermediate grammar exercise. Used to, be used to, but used to. When I started to work here, I needed a lot of help, but now I am used to doing all the work on my own. Just a little more. Story. Almost used to reading. Story. Story. Words of ecstasy handwriting. She was surprised to see her driving. She didn't use to. Don't worry, it's a simple program to use. You, you'll get used to it in time, I'm sure. When I had to commute to work every day, I used to get up and wait. I'll never get used to living in this place. Whenever we came to Coventry, we always used to stay in the Central Hotel. When Pete Smith left the head of our office, everything used to. Mr. Macy was shocked when he joined our busy company because he wasn't used to doing much work every day. At first, the employees didn't like the new office space offered, but in the end, they used to. So I now need to click on check, right?
Yes, check your answers.
It says your score is 9 from a possible 10. And the mistake was on the last. At
So
first, the employees. Let me. I would like to take the screenshot. Yeah.
okay.
At first, the employees didn't like the new open space office, but in the end did. No, and in the day, and I selected get used to it.
Ah, it's got used to
Make
it because
used to it.
it's imagine it's like saying familiar. So they got familiar with it. Okay, let's summarize that. I'm gonna go back with my presentation. Just 1 second, please.
Yeah, sure.
And this is the summary. So, used to is accompanied by an infinitive. Be used to something is accompanied with an ing form. That means that you have experienced something and you are still experiencing it. And this final one, get used to, it's like getting familiar with something. Here we are. Let me write it. Continuation over time. This one is the past. Alright, that will be everything for today. Maybe
Yeah,
do you
okay.
have a question that I can solve for you?
I think that is like a practice thing because the expression is get used to. So I selected in this last exercise the get used to, but the correct one was got used to.
Mm-hmm.
That is
Oh,
because of the past sentence.
so
The
so get versus got. This one get is maybe when you're anticipating the future. Like for example, I need to get better at my job so that I can get more money. But I still haven't got that money. So I use that get. You see? I use
Mhm.
got when maybe I'm talking to a friend and let's say I used to got really high scores at the university, and that made me familiar with the field of writing, let's say. So this one is past. We use that past when we're talking about that something from the past, yes, and we use get when we are anticipating something. And yes, you're right. This is just a practice thing. The more you do and the more practice you get better at this. It's an intermediate upper intermediate topic, so it's just a thing to practice. But you did very good with the test.
Actually, I selected the answers because of the information on the sentence
Mm-hmm.
and was those options that fit better
Ah,
more than understanding exactly about appropriate.
so like it sounded better, right?
Yes.
That it's I forgot to talk about that, but there's something to that that I cannot explain because it's something that you get with the time of speaking English. And sometimes some sentences seem to fit better than others. Also, just follow your instinct, and
Hmm.
maybe you'll get right with that.
Yes, but sometimes it cannot be right.
Yeah, that depends on your experience. That's true also. All right, Yesenia. Well, I appreciate your time being here.
Thank you, David.
No problem. And I'll see you the next one. Take care.
You too. Have a good day. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.